Hello everybody and welcome to the UK University Valorant stream. We're going to be casting some of the 10-man matches that are happening today in the UK University Valorant Discord. I'm one of your casters, the Killsync, and I'm joined today by Got Moxie. Hi Got Moxie, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hi Killsync. Really excited to get to see how teams are getting to grips with Valorant, a game that just came out, and yet already so many players are just recording so many bonker plays.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be good to watch. We had obviously some casted matches yesterday, which I would say really yielded some wonderful plays, some absolutely incredible just picks, plays, and some interesting choices on the agents half. So hopefully we'll be seeing a bit more of a meta selection, shall we say, because arguably yesterday there were some questionable choices towards the end of the series.
I mean, yeah, the game is very new, but you can already see a meta developing very quickly, and I think one of the agents we immediately have to talk about right off the bat is Raze. Everybody says it, all of the forums are currently filled with it, and every single Twitter post that the devs put up is normally immediately followed up by a whole host of people complaining about her, because she is very strong, and I think that's putting it very lightly. She has a whole lot of utility. Her ultimate is an insta-kill in a game, which is arguably geared against ultimates getting kills. And I mean, Paint Shell is one of the strongest abilities in the game by far.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned it because, like you say, Paint Shells, even though that's not a one kill, it pretty much can be the minute the littler grenades, the littler Paint Shells actually scatter. That is just so damaging, and the radius it actually hits is quite impressive. Now, that's not to mention as well Boombot, because Boombot, if sent in the right direction, is also a one-shot kill. Now,
Boombot is as well. It does something that Raze is very good at. It displaces enemy agents. You look at the attacking side, you want to try to move in, you want to get that rotation going, but you don't want to push too aggressively because you know that there's a pretty high chance that a defender is going to be around a corner or peeking in cubby, just waiting for you to walk past. If you have Boombot, it has a HP bar. If it goes down, you don't go down with it, and you have a massive chance of either connecting the kill onto that defender or chasing them out where you can actually mow them down with your gun.
Yeah, and I think this is where you're going to be seeing a few teams maybe starting to pick players like Sage as obviously a counter to agents like Raze, just because obviously that barrier is so useful at stopping all momentum from the team, including the Boombot, including the Paint Shells, just halting it in its tracks. But as a character, Sage doesn't really provide too much else. It feels like, at least. The slow orb obviously doesn't seem to slow the Boombot, which is massive, something that obviously the devs might consider in a future update, that maybe it should also slow the Boombot. After all, it does have to go over it. And oh yeah, go on.
I mean, the thing you have to remember about a whole lot of these agents is that the abilities that affect the enemy also affects your allies. And so Sage, in theory, absolutely wonderful. Yes, having that wall up can be so helpful in slowing down a push, but when you have that slow up on the floor, everybody on your side also has to watch where they step, because they don't want to go into that slow, because then they'll be the ones who end up on the wrong side of the kill feed. Honestly, where you put your real power into Sage is the resurrection. It's such a strong ability. It's honestly such a little bit of a broken ability, and I think that's where you get to see a whole lot of punishment immediately behind it, right? You have to put that wall up before you try to go for the res, otherwise the Sage, if you manage to camp a corpse successfully, is as good as dead before they even go for it.
Definitely, and that's like saying a couple of the other agents, some of their, shall we say, their abilities are almost worthless. Like you mentioned, what benefits one team will also benefit another for the agent's abilities, and that brings us to agents like Brimstone with the Stim Beacon. Now, although, and I think we've discussed this before it's even come onto stream, but the fact that, yes, it speeds up your rate of fire, but that's for everybody in that area, regardless of which team they're playing for. Now, it almost renders it, if you're in a close quarters combat, it almost renders it obsolete. But on some maps, especially ones like Split, for example, or even Haven, if you're on Haven Heaven and you're watching ramp, then it's a great place to potentially use it, because if you're in Heaven, if you're on the bottom of ramp, you can use it, and killing on the opposite side made that a little bit easier. But close quarters combat, it almost makes Brimstone completely irrelevant. And when you consider how useful the incendiary can be, the sky smokes can be to force shall we say, divides between the teams, having an ability like Stim Beacon almost seems just worthless on the character.
Yeah, see, a lot of agents are really geared towards splitting teams, as you pointed out, and Stim Beacon, it brings them together. And you don't really want to bring people together, because think of all of these agents, all of these abilities that they have, they're all crowd control. And so you're going to get so much more value if they hit multiple people, because it means that you're not just controlling one person's space, you're controlling a whole host of them on the enemy team. You have a Stim Beacon, and that's going to force everyone on the Brimstone's team to try to cluster around it. And then you're just going to have a good Phoenix, right? Who will go, okay, there's a whole bunch of people right there. What if I just flashbang, wall, and move in? Because you want to talk about how you can punish people. And punish your own team as well. Phoenix immediately comes up because that flashbang affects your team as well. We've all been there in that horrible, embarrassing situation where we think we're doing the hero play and we send out a flashbang and we accidentally stun out everyone, including ourselves.
Yeah, and that just seems to be the way it goes, especially with some of those abilities. Midway through round 2, no problem.
But I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not they're actually going to be going with the agents that we talked about. Looks as if, yeah, there is going to be a Sage on both sides.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because we spoke about how OP Raze was, and then immediately one team has no Raze. And it almost feels like a surprise to me. I don't know if it feels the same for you.
Absolutely. Honestly, Raze is pretty much just a team win if you manage to get your ultimate off properly, but looks as if they will be able to get the defuse going. Team Jack going to be picking that up with a thrifty round, so they're going to have a whole lot of money to spend in this next one. This is where you get to see economy really coming into play, Kills. Think once you start getting these wins sliding in your favor, you can put so much into getting the better firepower, and so Team Wretch going to be having a hard time as they try to push in, not going to be having the advantage in that gunfight.
Yeah, we've got quite an interesting split, I think it's worth saying. The one player going towards Link, pushing up towards that A site. It looks like that's where Team Wretch is going to be looking at advancing here. You've got the 4 players just kind of stuck, deliberating between whether to go lobby, the shower way, or short. But it looks like you've got 2 going short and 3 going towards Bath. Now with 2 rotating from the middle on Team Jack in defense, this could be problematic, because if they rush this well enough as a team, they really could catch the entire opposition off guard.
Yeah, but no one's currently got ultimates available at the moment, so everyone's really relying on these obscure visions. That's why you're seeing so much smoke getting pumped into all these places.
But it's worth saying the teleporter on B port getting used immediately, and this is going to force a gunfight and a complete pincer at the moment against Wretch, and taken down immediately by, I think that was Jack, but not a problem whatsoever, as they're left with 4 players still alive. And how they lost the first game, obviously we didn't get to see how they lost the first round, but taking the last 2 quite convincingly.
Yeah, well, keep your eye on Team Jack's chat. They've got their ultimate. This is something that recharges if you're able to connect a kill, so has potential to steamroll so many of these fights if they're able to get in, because that is the real question behind the Jet. If you're able to survive getting into the fight and actually finding value. She's much more of a 1 versus 1 rather than a 1 versus the entire enemy team.
Yeah, we're seeing Chazmaster looking to fake out the B window there, with the rest of his team pushing short. One singular player in ads pushing that A long site. The showers, Bath, is kind of the place you really want to avoid if you're on a 1v1, just because there's so much opportunity for the defenders to be pushing against you. But a little bit of a firefight, and ads winning out that one. Singularity going down, and near enough no damage taken on the half of ads. And they're going to look to do a B window push now. One player going long, and it's going to be Jack facing off now against Snake, getting the victory over there. And it's 4 on the bomb site, leaving Team Jack to be rotating round. It's a slow rotate, forcing the final member, Jack, to rotate around to CT side, and is going to be shut down eventually, but gets 1 kill onto Wretch. Might look at saving, but instead with 11 boosts, he's going to look to take it. Almost worthless. You may as well just save at this point. Getting the healing up, but being taken out by Raze's grenade, and we said that was always going to be a massive danger in this game.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at how many of the enemy were up and alive, you would have been so much better off going for that save, but unfortunately does not happen. And so now we are going to get to see 2 and 2 apiece. So pretty even on the scoreboard. Team Red will have a couple of really nice ultimates available to them. That Viper Snake Pit is going to be so crucial if they're able to actually get onto that bomb site and plant that spike. It's really going to be what hinders Team Jack if they try to contest that defense.
Yeah, and again, we're still seeing the 2 and 3 setup from both teams here. This time, Wretch taking out Singularity early, but Jack pushing through, taking out Wretch, using the run it back. A great ultimate there, has all the information needed to know where Bomb is. And still, though, stuck at B window, we're seeing Ethan just holding the line, trying to get some information, seeing how many are still on that B site. Boombot coming out. It's going to be going in the complete opposite direction. They don't really need to worry too much about that one there, but still 2 lined up on this B, on this A cubby, sorry. And neither team really looking to take too much of a firefight.
I mean, Team Red don't really want to try to push in because they know Jack is pretty nicely set up, but Ads does manage to get Jack, and this should herald the kill feed just sliding in the Red's favor.
Yeah, and that was a great use of the blast pack there, getting up on the boxes, just trying to take another one out, and does so. And now Bomb being moved over to B, it looked like, but the B teleport being used, and that's a bad rotation there. Had all the opportunity to stay on the B side, plant up there, instead uses the teleport, comes around to A, and is now forced to re-rotate, and with 27 seconds left, might not have much time to do it as the bomb hasn't yet been planted. We're going to see a rotate round coming from Foz. Is going to end up running into Ethan in a second, sees it and takes it down. Now it's a one-on-one, and this is a less desirable situation for Team Wretch to be in. Is going to get the plant, but Team Jack is going to know exactly where they are and what part of the site they're on, and all the information now in favor of Foz.
Yeah, but they're not going to have enough time. You need 7.5 seconds to defuse, and so Foz might actually run out of the bank. Might be able to make it, but it's going to be so close. Oh, clutches it out. That is a move back from the edge of your seat moment for Team Jack. Foz doing such a beautiful job and setting up Team Jack for a really nice defense as well. They're going to have so many ultimates up and available to them.
Yeah, we're still seeing that 3-2 split early on in this round. It seems to be the standard setup, shall we say the meta setup, especially for this map, sending one into that hooker area of the window for B on defense, and that is going to be Snake set up as Breach. Now, for any of those not aware, I'll let my co-caster just explain some of the privileges of using Breach on a map like this.
Yeah, so Breach basically means you can attack through walls. This is something that Team Wretch are going to have to be so careful of. You can see that Snake's trying to find anyone who might peek him. He doesn't even need to get the jiggle peek. He just has to bait one of Team Wretch in to actually use it.
Yeah, and Breach using the flashpoint quite well, but nobody obviously on the other side just yet. As a rotation coming around from Ads, looking to take out B Long. Knows there's a player there. Has already been lost down to it, but Foz again taking out the second player, pushing around to B. And this is going to be left for the remaining Wretch members to try and push A as the flash comes out, and 2 taken down. Harrison taken out Jack, Wretch taken out Singularity, and what looked like a favorable situation for Team Jack turns into a very unfavorable one as we see the push from Breach going towards Bartram, but no reason to do that. And now Foz managing to hold the line, sees the wall coming out, blocks it perfectly and tries to get the 2 kill, but gets double teamed by Wretch.
Yeah, and but you do see that Foz has that res ability available, and the spike has been planted, but it's now going to be 2 versus 1. Array's trying to get in, might not be able to manage it, and the diffuse should be able to come off. Team Jack going to be proving a big sigh of relief. They didn't have to commit that ultimate that you really want to try to use to initiate your next defense.
Yeah, Brimstone obviously keeping that orbital strike is quite pivotal, especially when it comes to maybe a 1v1 or 2v1 situation when you know the plant needs to happen. Laying that down on a site can be the difference between clutching out in those final seconds and obviously just being double teamed and having no chance at all to pull back. to
I
pull
mean,
back
you
the
want
game.
to talk about no chance. It feels like Team Rich's Viper has had their ult for so long, and well, if there's one use that Brimstone can find for Orbital Strike, if you put it down in the middle of that Viper's pit, that Viper's going to immediately come running out, and boom, there goes that ultimate. Completely wasted. Looks though like Team Rich are going for a different approach. They seem to be sending everybody towards A.
Yeah, they do, and that is a great sky smoke coming out, completely blocking off that bathroom area, forcing the push to slow down. And with that, we're going to be seeing Brimstone having a little bit more knowledge in a favorable situation there. The sky smoke just allowing a slow push, can still hear obviously all of the audio cues, letting him know that people are pushing through. And this is a full A site as they pincer from both sides, and we see Chaz taking down its team, but 3 for Foz coming out, and immediately the Wretch team are dropped.
Yeah, Team Jack, they tried to go for this very sort of like pincer movement defense style, almost like you saw that 2 of them were already heading towards A, with that one trying to wrap around the middle and cut them off at A, but they don't really even need to finish off the pincer movement. Wretch just fall apart underneath the pressure. They still do have this Viper pit though, and that's something that they are going to try to use, I would hope, soon. Given that it is currently 5-2, and remember, as teams swap sides on that 13th round. Looks though as if we're gonna have the Cypher lagging back, making sure that they don't get double backed on by Team Jack.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you note that they've still got their ultimates, because you obviously pointed out a great counter for the Viper being that orbital strike. And I think at this point, even Viper is fully aware that that's the case, not willing to risk using it too soon, as Foz takes down 2 with some great headshots, good accuracy there, takes out the boom bot, knows who's still alive around that corner as well, and that is going to be a little bit problematic as they're trying to force the rotation back round, but being held off in mid by Snake. Breach having all the information, knowing they're going to be looking at a re-rotation. The 3 players on A, only 1 looking to rotate round from the back, that's Jack, and now holding 2 on each site, and this is looking quite promising for Team Jack here. But the accuracy of Foz, it's got to be said, unreal at the moment. Really holding the lines for his team.
Well, accuracy, but also line of sight. They've just been gifted so many beautiful shots as Team Rich try to wrap around these corners, because you've already set up. You don't have to worry about peeking. You just wait for your opponent to come to you. You do see that the Cypher on Team Rich is trying to use that camera to figure out where exactly Team Jack are going to be approaching from, but it is going to be 3 versus 4. It's already such a huge ask that you're going to be able to get anyone near that plant site.
Yeah, and with that, they see the spike drop, so the rotation can start back round to A site from the final 2 B members. As the teleporter gets used, the audio cue will be enough to force the rotation back onto B site. Probably not the best decision to be made there by Harrison. The amount of audio cue that teleporter gives, they know that they can't re-rotate round to A there. They don't have the time, so they know the push is going to be coming onto that B site, and that really does just give all of the momentum to Team Jack.
Honestly, you should have saved in that round, in my opinion. You were the one person against pretty much the entirety of Team Jack. There was no way that you would be winning that fight, not even if you managed to clutch it out. There were just too many bodies against you, and we are going to see, actually, that Team Jack and Team Rich, both of them have been keeping very firm holds of these ultimates. They like to just use the guns to try to open things up, and the smoke bombs, all of these obscuring abilities, rather than trying to drop ultimates and pick up kills with them.
Yeah, and I think what we could be seeing is a potential Breach Jet duo ult coming out. It would be quite nice, especially if they can pull it off, if they can manage to pincer one team into the same location, send them up, and then just let Jet pick them out of the sky. Good accuracy can really lead to a critical situation coming out, but we're going to be seeing Jet using the ult there coming out as Viper uses hers, and this is where we could see Breach using the Rolling of Thunder coming up, but nobody doing so. They're just allowed to plant on that site, and that is 2 ults going down for Team Jack. Meanwhile, Wretch don't want to use theirs just yet, and with that, 2 players left for Team Jack as Team Wretch look like they've taken control here.
Oh, it's going to be so hard as well for Team Jack to try to push into this. That's why we're seeing that run it back already coming out. They knew that it would be death trying to walk into that Viper's pit, but it's gonna have to happen, and now it's down to the 1 to the none. Team Jack falling as Team Wretch managed to get that set take, pushing all the way onto A and just immediately establishing that territory as their own. Worth noting, though, that Team Wretch did use their Viper's bit, and we didn't get to see the orbital strike coming out because they actually only used it after the Brimstone had gone down. We were expecting it to be a counter, and I think Team Wretch were expecting it too.
Yeah, Team Wretch, like you say, definitely expecting it. They were waiting for that player to go down. We know you said it, but now that does mean the orbital strike is somewhat more difficult to use. We might even see Brimstone saving that for a later round, just in case Wretch use that Viper Pit in the same way we just saw it there. Brimstone might look to hold back a little bit more, but we see the blast pack coming out, trying to get the information. They're using the ult to do it as well, and no kill coming from it. We mentioned before that Razor's ult is practically a one-shot. That's not really the kind of thing you want to just be using for no reason, especially when you have the ability to take somebody out on one. But Chaz now trying to get the one player on site. That is Sing, but can't find the kill for it as the incendiary comes out, and it's a good one at that. And now forced to go back. We're seeing still 4 of Team Wretch stuck on this A site, trying to clear it out as Viper, that's Ads, going round it into Bathroom, doesn't know that there is a Brimstone on the other side of the wall, and that could be problematic. Brimstone's been kind of just sat up there every single round, holding that same point, the slow orb coming out into A, but it doesn't really need to. There's no real person there. We can see Jack now rotating back around the slow orb. Maybe a bit of an audio cue, it could be said, but Wretch pre-fire in that corner knows that that's where Brimstone likes to stay. I think Brimstone might still be there as well, and he is, and he might be able to get the shot, but doesn't, as Wretch tries to take him out. It's T taken out Wretch instead, and that was a great bit of patience there from It's T, just holding that same angle as the wall comes out. And we could be seeing a push onto A with the last remaining person. Foz just holding Heaven and holds it so well with time ticking down. Could just afford to bait out a couple of shots. And now maybe the hiding game the better option, but the spike's been planted, and now Chaz is going to be the one in control of this fight.
I mean, Chaz is going to be in control of how this fight goes down. You can try to feint, but you do have a little bit of a slow go, and you know that you can't really move to the left right now because Foz is just going to be waiting. That's going to allow time for that rotation to come on through, and it's an old-fashioned gunfight, and Chaz walks away victorious. Both of these teams playing it really patiently that round.
Yeah, that was really patient. 22 health left as well. That could have been absolutely anybody's round, but good patience coming through, especially not to walk on that slow orb. Obviously, for those who aren't aware, that gives off a really loud audio cue to your opposition that lets them know exactly where you're walking pretty much. So the patience to just hold and wait gave no indication of which side he was going to be walking there. And that was just a fantastic play. But we're seeing all bar one of Team Wretch now just holding, waiting to push up on that A short. And as they do so, they're going to be met by 2 of Team Jack sitting there as well, and that's going to be Jack, and it looks like Sing, as they're holding 2 different angles, and all 4 coming out. They know the boombot's there now, so they know where the player is, getting pre-fired through that box, but no shots making contact as he tries to shoot through the smoke, and now down to 51 health, and this is going to be a little bit problematic for Sing as he gets taken down by Chaz through the box.
And Team Wretch, they really want to try to maneuver their Cypher into getting that frag off to try to use his ultimate, but I don't think they even need it. That being said, Issy does manage to get dinked, and quickly after, Chaz, you might be able to turn it around.
Yeah, the 2 flashes coming out, but can't get a kill from it as Harrison takes down Jack. And now with 2 on A side, they're going to look to get the bomb planted. I'm not sure if they realize they've got 1 to compete with up in Heaven, as this is going to be a pincer move. You've got Snake coming through around the back. You've got 1 in Heaven, and that is going to disorientate at least 1. But no, they're both hiding instead in the hole and rotating around now, looking to go down from Heaven. They know that's exactly where they're going to be, and this looks like it's going to be a save as the area is completely walled off, and Foz just looks to save, allows this spike to go off without a hitch. Team Wretch not even realizing the rotation's gone.
I mean, this, I think, is the first successful save that we've actually got to see. And I'm honestly not surprised that it's Foz who manages to pull it off. This has been such a patient Sage player. I think twice in the last couple of rounds, we've actually get to see Foz just hold up on B, waiting to see whether or not Team Rich go for that feint play. They've been trying for it. Every single time we get to see that Ads is just waiting to try to get towards B, but so much of Team Jack is just present on A that Team Rich needs all hands on deck. They can't afford to lose that one member to try to get that feint play going. But honestly, they need to just commit to one of these styles kills, because having one person away from your team, you either send them in to get a little bit of attention away, or you need them in the fight with you. You cannot have them dawdling.
Definitely, and I think the one thing we haven't seen at all yet, we haven't actually seen a rush play coming out from Team Wretch, but we have seen what you could say is a rush play coming out from Team Jack when they tried to force that mid push and just try and take out a few of Team Wretch's early. And it's quite a strange, obviously, play to see because you don't often see it coming out from the defense. But we said at the start that raise might come back to haunt Team Jack, and Team Jack haven't really looked like they've had much of a problem without raise.
Yeah, they play very aggressively, and you do need to have a very defensive team for a race to take advantage of. If they bum rush you, you can't really get your abilities off first. And well, Team Jack, they try to go for the bum rush approach, but Wretch have finally been able to actually pull out this feint tactic where they're all over the map currently.
Yeah, and as Foz takes down Ethan there, we're going to be seeing 4 or at least 3 members, posted up on that A site as Jack is able to get the kill on Ads using the flash, trying to bait out. He's going to be going there. Instead, rotates back towards the back, and he's going to be pincered off as Cypher can't get the kill and now has the information, but instead taken out by Wretch. Last player rotating background, trying to hold off Heaven now. We know that Foz is accurate, holding those angles pretty critically. The one tap to the head there, trying to get Cypher as well, and gets Harrison and Wretch, and now it's a 1v1, and this is really not where you want to be if you're Chaz. You know full well how accurate he can be, and it looked like Foz had Chaz, but Chaz just the more patient player there, holding out 22 health left, and it could have been anyone's.
I mean, Foz had to peek. You think of the abilities that is available for a Raze that is not available for a Sage. You can just dunk in your backpack nades, and that's immediately just going to have to force Foz to relocate. She wants to relocate on her terms rather than waiting to get forced out of hiding, because you'll just see the Raze just set up the scope and Chaz will just knock your head straight off. Looks like Team Wretch are going for this very bizarre play, actually, of everybody trying to go for B. And this is really the first time I think that we've actually got to see them properly go towards B. They've always been angling towards A in the past. Let's see whether or not it's going to pay out, because no, the sides have swapped. It's So Team Wretch going to be trying to hold on that defense now, which means that Team Jack are going to be trying to get this bomb rush going for B. You said you wanted to see a rush attack. We might get to see it.
I did want to see a rush attack, but this isn't necessarily the way I wanted to see it, because at the moment it's risky pushing 3 next to that teleporter because the rotate can come through there, but instead Cypher not looking ready, shall we say, to rotate through that teleport, but one coming from behind, and this could be huge. If Chaz is able to find some picks from the rotation back, we'll have the information now. He's just holding the line of sight, waiting for those players to appear. And this is a patience game, because if Chaz waits a little bit longer, he's going to be rewarded with at least 1 or 2, and doesn't manage, gets the 1, can get the 2nd as well. And that is patience at its finest, as they know exactly where the spike has been dropped now. And that was a fantastic rotation around the back. They hear the teleporter being used there by Ethan. Ethan just waiting behind the doors. Breach also waiting there. Oh, sorry, T. Bridgman is going to get tapped by Chaz, and Chaz with the 3k at the moment as 2 players approaching that A site. Chaz is going to look to get behind as well, and might be able to do so. Foss knows where she's going to be pinchered from, but instead Wretch takes him down, and that's a 3k there for T, and that was a great for Foss. Sorry, that was a great play.
I mean, that was beautiful play, and that's why sound is absolutely vital in this game. You need to know when someone's behind you, and Chaz manages to pull that one off perfectly. If you hadn't been able to pick up those free kills, you would have shot yourself in the foot. You would have been without your best damage dealer with those abilities, so Team Jack could just have tried to push in, but because they're the ones missing members, they can't push. They're forced to go on the defense, and so they have to be on a little bit on the run. Team Jack, you need to start actually looking at your angles, and I think we're actually going to get to see them now be a little bit more cautious.
Yeah, it needs to be a bit more cautious, but still holding some good angles there as the grenade comes out from Chaz, and that could cause a little bit of damage. Boombot to follow that, and that's a great decision, but doesn't realize, I don't think, that all 5 players on Team Jack here are pushing this A site, and with only 20 health, it's gonna be a challenge to stay alive. Doesn't Jack of all trades killing Chaz, but Wretch then re-getting Jack, and that's a trade-off there as 2 players slow on the rotation behind. A bit wary just in case anybody's going to be watching, but they're not, and they need to get in this fight quickly because right now, this 2v4, they really need to utilize those final 2 players that are doing the push round. They need to push a little bit quicker, but as I say, that Ad's taken out its T, and it's going to be a 4v1, and this is nigh on impossible now for Wretch to be able to win this one out. Just trying to almost save and can't do it, so Wretch now will be able to take this quite easily.
I mean, it's very bizarre actually that Team Jack were able to win that one out, because as you pointed out, you had Team Red who were 2 players short. They took so long to try to get that rotation from B to link to A short all the way up to A site that if Team Jack had been a little bit more aggressive, I think we would have been seeing a completely different result. And I say aggressive. It looks as if they're all just trying to storm their way up towards A. Seem to have a think about perhaps going for a Flame Blade towards B, but no, everybody's going to be hands on deck trying to push up towards that A site, and you do see actually that it is just gonna be Chaz and Wretch trying to hold that one down as Team Wretch think that everybody on Jack is gonna go towards B.
You know, I think this is a great decision because what you've got here seeing is Wretch setting up 3 on B site, but none of them really looking too much to actually protect that B site. They're just sending 1 round to take a really long flank. Now that can always be dangerous, especially when you've got a rush like this on site. We see the sky smoke coming out, and that is perfectly positioned, and this is going to allow a full site hold from Team Jack, and now it's Team Wretch looking like the defenders as 1 kill comes out from Ads, and it's a good one. A Jack of all trades for the incendiary, dealing 20 damage there. Wretch taking out Foz, Snake taking out Ads, and now a 3v3 left. And this is going to be a bit problematic for Cypher. Cypher coming round. We see Haribo can see the angle there, but the Sky Smoke coming out. Harrison's able to take out Singularity, get Dink taken out its T, and Team Wretch survive with their 3 players and manage to get the defuse on.
And again, Team Jack really struggle when it comes to that gunfight. Every single time it feels like they got the rotation perfectly. The rush was near perfect as well. That smoke bomb down onto window to obscure Team Wretch's sightline onto them was absolutely pixel perfect. But as soon as it becomes that gunfight, it just runs away from them. And I think we get to see that the economy is coming into play. Wretch are currently 9 points up, 3 away from Jack, which means that they have so much more money available to them, so they can put the brunt behind that firepower, and Jack is left a little bit lacking when it comes to the actual shootouts.
Yeah, and Wretch here and Jack, it's worth noting, obviously, that we said it the last round that Wretch always set up that 3, and it just feels as if Team Jack haven't become wise to that yet, and they actually are going to run the risk now of Ethan potentially finding the spike. Not sure if he's managed to. He's going to look at the rotation round anyway, and nobody holding B window. This could be a huge potential misplay, but we're going to be seeing Haribo potentially seeing somebody. Spike's going to get picked up, and the transition through from Ethan as he picks off Foz, and that is going to be a huge player taken down right there. Gets the healing as well as we see Wretch going back round to rotate and hold that B site, but it's T taking out Ethan. Looked like had a good angle. Haribo there just waiting for his team now to rotate back round as Wretch gets a headshot on Jack. Singularity taking out Chaz, and it's back to a 3v3, but Singularity with only the 14 health to deal with is going to be a bit more problematic, but not turning around. Harrison runs straight through mid, and T takes him out, has the spike as well. Is going to look to plant on B side, doesn't realize somebody's there, and Ads taking out Spike Holder straight away. Absolutely no problem as we see the utilities now coming out from Team Jack. They need to get that bomb planted. Instead, rotate back round to A. Going to force a rotation from Ads through CT spawn. Instead, stopped. Still questioning between themselves. What are we going to do here? Are we going to stick 1-on-1, or are we just going to rotate round to A? And with the audio input that's going to be happening, we might see a rotation coming out soon from Wretch.
I mean, Ads is going to have access to that operator, though, which means that you need to do exactly that. You need to force that one-on-one brute fight rather than trying to peek someone with a sniper who can immediately kill you in 1 click. So it is going to be one last remember on Team Red trying to move in to point A with Team Jack pretty nicely set up. But no, Singularity goes down.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem. Knowing full well exactly where they are now, is going to look to use the utilities, slow them down, but can't get the kill as the utilities take that little bit of time away from switching to the weapon. Snake's able to get the kill in the meantime. 9-7 to Wretch now. And although Wretch still have that ability to buy further than Team Jack do, Team Jack now have that little bit of momentum. They have the saves from that last round. Only the one agent alive though, and that's where the problems come in. They never had that much utility to work with beforehand, and they still don't. This buy is going to mean everything. If they can't win this round, Wretch are going to have at least another round buffer after this one.
I mean, what I'm really looking forward to seeing is whether or not we're going to have that Viper Brimstone checkmate that we got before. Both of these guys have access to their ultimates, and both teams have shown that they are willing to hold on to them as long as it takes until the other uses them. But it's going to be looking like Team Jack want to split their forces, so they're going to try and take two different parts of A and pincer in, which means that Team Wretch might be caught out a little bit with their trousers down because they've got a couple members on B. They're going to have to rotate, but that might take very long, and if they go through mid, Jack might just turn to their side and punish them.
Yeah, and it's got to be worth noted as well, that wasn't a great boom bot coming through from Raze. All that actually did was give all the information to Team Jack that a Raze was going to be in that U-Haul, and that is always problematic as Chaz takes out Snake, Jack takes out Chaz, and then Singularity taking out Ads, and now Team Jack can push the site. And what we said was at the start that Jack needed to get that. The run it back being used, knowing full well two are there now. They know where the players are, they know where to hold, and they know which positions to take up on site. And this is huge. But one push coming through from Ethan round that A mid area. Just checking Cubby just to make sure nobody's going to be there. But is going to be face to face with the other Phoenix, if not careful at this point in time, is just patiently waiting in that area, but that is going to give the sound cue, but Jack taking out Ethan there. Battle of the Phoenixes.
Battle of the Phoenixes. Jack comes out on top, but it looks like everybody actually flew up. The round took so long that everybody died. Bomb went off, rocks fell. So everybody lost guns, which means that your ultimate economy is gonna be, well, your gun economy rather, is gonna be feeling a little bit of the hurt. So now we will get to see, it's currently 9-8. Team Jack getting pretty nicely close to clawing it back. Gonna be trying for what looks to be a similar sort of push. This is something that they really like to do. Send a couple of people around that right side of A, a couple of people around that left side of A, and Team Red still haven't cottoned on to it. They're still sending members around B. Looks like they want to try and get someone through that teleporter to wrap around Jack, but they've been punished by a backline assassin before. Hopefully they've wisened up to the strategy.
Yeah, I think what's definitely worth noting was Ads sitting there with the shotgun. Obviously, clearly didn't have too much to work with. The ult coming out from Singularity, and they're looking to push this site. They really want to take it quickly, but the hold from Singularity here, quite an odd position really to take. Obviously, we know how far those knives can actually go. That Blade Storm can be so damaging at times, but just sitting there doing nothing with it sometimes isn't worthwhile, as getting able to just take the shot there. Ethan, no problem at all, trying to get the second one, but Foz taking down the remaining two members. And just like that, we have a 9-all game and 3 members still alive. 2 ultimates as well. That's some big ults that you've got left.
I mean, now we're going to get to see as well, Jack completely changed up their playstyle. So they figured that Reg are going to try and send all of their forces to A because that's what they've been doing previously. And now we're going to have this really nice feint play where you're going to have a push onto B with only the one player. And already Team Reg, they've got 3 people around bomb B. It's going to have such a hard time getting this rotation through that midpoint if Team Jack are just there to collapse in on them.
Yeah, and this is where you could see a run it back happening, just sending it through the teleport just to see if you can get some information out early on, but instead holds off on that one, doesn't want to risk using it too soon. Maybe a waste as we see the walls go up, just trying to peek over the top. It's going to be Singularity that sees all of the information that they need to just there. We see the smoke coming out, blocking that line of sight, but the A push still looking the most likely one here, as we see Ethan just holding the site, holding B long, making sure nobody rotates back around there. But Jack is dangerously close to rotating round B window. Cypher's camera positioned perfectly in hooker there. And that could be problematic because he's going to be looking at it and now has the information that somebody will be mid in a second, thinking might already have the information. As we see Ethan going around the side now, knows exactly where Jack is And this, at this point, you may as well just rotate round to B. This is a great decision potentially from Team Jack. They've faked out the A push. They're going to be forcing potentially Haribo to rotate round, but Haribo not rotating too early. He sees 2 through window, and this is going to have to be a decision to rotate now from this Team Wretch. Otherwise, they're going to struggle getting that spike diffused at any point in time, but we still see Jack just holding off that corner. Ethan as well holding the exact same angle, sees the spike is there. Spike problematic to rotating back from the CT side, and this is very, very difficult. I don't think they've realized that Ethan is still on site as Ethan manages not to get one. It looked like he was going to, but the run it back, saving the day there. Has the information, no one's in middle, sees the one in window, but doesn't get the shot off. A Snake takes down 3 of Team Wretch, and Team Jack take the lead. They were 9-6 down.
Yeah, they've managed to come back, and it's mostly because they've suddenly got this really new strategy going that they bait Wretch into these areas. They force these really long, drawn out, and very complex rotations. And when Wretch are so busy trying to just rotate through the map, Jack's setting up the point. And they've just got so much spatial control on their side of all of these abilities. They're gonna have one now. You've got Brimstone, who's still got this orbital strike. Viper, just want to point out, on the side of Wretch, still sitting on Snake Pit. Neither of these players giving an inch until those ultimates come out of the other. We're gonna get to see Team Jack come for the same sort of play, but Team Wretch, they've got their number 10 this time.
And that was a great decision by Jack there, just to wait in the corner, taking out Ethan completely. And now Team Jack are finding themselves with a little bit of a problem. 2 members, and they are just left patiently waiting in that mid area in Link. Just nothing that they're able to do as they look to the push towards B window. But Cypher waiting towards that teleport. Haribo can take that at any point in time and completely get around the back. And this just isn't where you want to be. I'm not sure Team Jack realized that Wretch still have one on site as one comes through from CT, and Ads not getting spotted as Foz goes just a little bit too early into the corner, and Ads with a headshot onto Foz. It's not an operator, but it does the same job if you tap heads, and Team Jack go down, and we're seeing a 10-all game.
I mean, it's not an operator, but it's a sniper. A Marshall setup is so hard to walk into, especially if you've got that beautiful long line of sight that Jack had to walk into. And now it is going to be, as you pointed out, 10 apiece. Going to get to see whether or not these guys are actually going to drop ultimates into this one. Looks like Team Jack are actually dropping the strategy of sending 2 to B, 2 to A, and then try to collapse in on wherever Wretch abandons. They're going to go for this feign play again. So they're going to have Jack out completely on his own. Does have access to that run it back ability in case he doesn't really want to go for that jiggle peek and risk his own neck.
Yeah, and Haribo, it's worth noting, they're a little bit further pushed up on that A site, just waiting to try and pick off one of the team. Has got the ult, and we see the ult coming out from Chaz there, and that's surprising, especially since it did absolutely nothing in the way of the game so far. And that is quite a strange decision to be made from such a good quality player. But nevertheless, Cypher's still pushing up, has the ult to use, wants to get all that information. But as Foz takes down Chaz, it's going to force a rotation back towards site from Haribo. Cannot risk dying too soon at 10 apiece. Even if you use your ultimate in a 3v4, it's still difficult to get those kills. But it's worth noting, obviously, Ads, with the ult still left to do, can always use that on site, especially if bomb gets planted. And that is exactly the audio cue that Ads is waiting to hear. If they hear it, they're going to be pushing straight away and using that ult just to block off that site. But it gets taken down, it looked like, but avoids being killed as a spike gets planted. We're left with Ads and Wretch trying to fight off this 4v2. Can't pick the head there. Wretch trying to get the kill onto the player in Bath. I believe that is Foz, but taken down straight with one headshot. Foz takes out Wretch from that heaven position, and this is where ideally you just need to save, but they have everything they need to know. The flash is perfect as Snake takes down Ads.
I mean, you can't save, unfortunately. You're in a place where you're just sandwiched between death. There were so many members of Team Jack that you were completely surrounded, and so you were losing that operator. That operator that a Snake is now gonna be in control of. So it's very hard, though, to push in with an operator. It's much easier for a team to have already set one up and find value with it, because now you're the one who's gonna have to risk peeking. And that risk is so huge. It's magnified because you are going to have Team Retch who have set up these really nice sight lines. They're going to be both A and B, and a little bit in mid as well. Chaz trying to just make sure no one flanks Ryan.
Yeah, and that early takeout from Ads onto Snake, but then Jack taking out Ethan. It doesn't matter too much. Still, those 3 ults as one is used on the run it back. Knows where the players are positioned now. Sage is able to resurrect if need be, but with the bomb planted, there's no point in wasting an ult like that in this particular round. You need to force the opposition to come towards you. Brimstone still has the ult as well. Brimstone might even look to rotate back, hold a little bit of a safe position, and use that ult right now to take out that site. If used before dead, that really can be the difference, but it's taken out before getting a chance to use it in the 3v1. The resurrect needs to happen at some point, but it doesn't look like Foz is going to be able to rotate quickly enough there as the defuse almost gets held there, and the defuse looks like it's going to come through, and it does. No problem there, and we're seeing an 11-all game. Now, this is close.
I mean, that would have been even closer if that res had been able to get pulled off, but you see that Foz, they know as soon as they try to pop that res ability, Res knows exactly where that Sage is. They're just going to rush you. And yeah, you can res your team, but honestly, that's just going to be staggering them out at the moment. So they're going to keep it for this push. This is going to be a very meaningful push because whoever manages to take this point is going to be taking us to match point. And so Jack, they're up to their old tricks again. 2 heading towards A, 1 on that midpoint, and 2 actually pretty separated, but both looking like they want to head towards B. You are going to have to dislodge a really nicely set up Retch from both B and A. All of them playing from that high ground from the back of point. So you're going to have to push in on some horrible sightlines.
Yeah, Chaz taking out Snake near that B window area, and now this is a bit problematic. They're very spread out. The Brimstone nowhere near the rest of the team. Now that is really the person you want to have protecting that bomb, the spike, sorry, when it gets planted, but he's just holding 3 members on that A site, and there's what looks like the potential 4v2 going on to B. They don't realize that somebody is just waiting in hooker as Chaz gets 1, gets 2, and is taking out the rest of the team there. And that was a great play from Chaz, just holding off. But as Foz takes out Chaz now, they're going to look to try and get this bomb planted towards B site. They've got the resurrection. They have got the orbital strike. And every single team member left alive has their ultimate ability. If Cypher needs to, can afford to take out the player. But no, isn't going to be able to do it as Ads takes out T. And now it's just a 2v1 situation. Foz needs to get the plant on, and Ads has no idea. But this is the perfect time to use your ultimate if you're Ads. Just put down that... Put down... Oh, I can't even say it at this point. It's just got to that point.
So put down your Viper Spit, but honestly, it's Viper Spit for one person. You're much better off doing exactly what Red just did. You have one person go in from the side, and another person go in from elbow, and bang, you just collapse in on them. And we're actually getting to see that Team Red, the defense style that they have, is very favored on these sniper sightlines. So you normally have either Retch or Ads, one or the other, set up in B elbow, and the other one is then relegated to point A tower, which means that they just have such a lovely control of the point. Already, look, immediate defensive positionings that both of those two go to, and the rest of Team Retch just rotate around wherever they think Team Jack is going to be pushing. Every single time, Team Jack has to push into someone who's already set up in a sniper spot.
Yeah, we see the ult coming out from Chaz immediately, looking to take out the player and almost taking out Brimstone, but can't find the kill. And now it's going to be a firefight instead, but Chaz, the victor of that one, takes out T. They know the push is going to come towards B now, as we see the rotation coming around from Viper. All players moving in, the ultimate coming through, but Retch with a one tap to the head there. Foz taking out Retch in response. Will be able to get the spike planted potentially if they do it quickly enough, but the slow time that it takes them to plant allows that rotation to come around from the back from Haribo, just holding the back corridor there. B-Hall looking to go through from elbow as they see 3 on site, neither one facing them, gets the kill onto Snake, and it's a 2v1, and Retch have every opportunity to take this victory, but a hard push coming through from Singh, looking to try and take out this player, run it back using the ability, and that is a great use of the ability, looking to get the high ground, flashed for the efforts, manages to get behind, gets the shot as well, and might get the second, but runs out just in time and gets the kill. And Team Jack clutching out that play as Singularity takes down the final 2 Wretch members.
I mean, honestly, if you look at any of the agents currently up for Valorant, Jet has just some of the highest clutch potential. The amount of mobility that is up and available for that agent, we saw that they just were not expecting her to be up on that high ground because she just had that updraft. And that ultimate, it lasts as long as you run out of knives. So basically, you have a complete kill right there if you can manage to connect the shots, and that's exactly what Sing was able to do. So 12-12. Whichever way goes, this round is going to go to the victor, so could not be closer. And it looks like Team Jack, they're not going to go for the risky play. They want to try to settle this out with the good old tradition of try to push A and maybe send one person to B to distract Team Wretch and hopefully buy yourself some time to get a set take.
Yeah, and the difference that we saw early on between the ways that these guys set up, we saw the 3 push always come in the way of Wretch onto that B side. Now they've set up a lot more equally, and as such are able to trade kills, but we are seeing a very, very slow lead out as Jack takes out Chaz, and that's a big kill being taken out there. We know that neither team has any ults at the moment, so it is just going to pretty much be a complete firefight. But Harrison holding down the site, has all the information, looks like a little bit of a lapse in concentration there, it must be said. Not sure if they were checking the scoreboard, but very slow to react to the spike carriers going on towards that A site, and now being left to try and defend. It's going to look like there's the potential to be snuck up from behind, but Haribo is going to be coming out of that elbow position, but is going to be met by Singularity. Singularity takes out Harrison. It's worth noting Foz taking out I think Rezzing Snake, sorry, I'm not sure what happened there exactly, but Ads managing to take out Foz, and we're going to be seeing Ads trying to get the second, does so on Singularity, knows one is in the bathroom, might look to take out one very, very shortly, puts up that wall that we see, the toxic screen, always so damaging, blinding all line of sight. The fake coming up, but they need to hold it at this point, and it's a complete wipe by T there as they take the game 13-12.
And something to note as well is that the entirety of that last round, Team Jack fought with one person missing. I don't know if you were keeping your eye on where exactly Jack that Phoenix was running off to, but they went on quite an adventure. They went all the way from attacker spawn, and then they just continued going all the way around the map. They pushed up through that B start, and then they went to B point, and then they went and said hello to defender spawn. And then they eventually popped out on the side of A vent, and immediately, actually, pretty much perfectly timed it for Tay to start popping off of their team.
Yeah, we've got to give all credit. You can see the scoreboard there. All credit to Foz. Absolutely dominant performance, and really, really credit to him for that big victory. But that was such a close game. Everybody around about the mid marks, even the lower plays, even Snake and Harrison there, it's not as if they played badly at all. They played really well as a team. All of the players on that map should be extremely proud. The pushes were right, the positioning was right, the utility usage was right as well. And it's just nice to see two teams so evenly matched.
I mean, looking at the kill-death ratio as well, it's something that you can pretty much expect from the level of the, not the level, the actual agent that they're playing. So Harrison is at the bottom, but he's on Cypher. Cypher doesn't find his value with concerning kills, he finds his value with information. If you have a camera up and you're able to catch out like 2-3 people on the enemy side, you're happy. You don't want to worry about locking down the kills, you just need to get the information flowing, and you're going to be in teams, you're going to have all of those veins of comms, and the Cypher on comms is a Cypher that you should be very scared of.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, I think it's fair to say we'll go to a very short break. Thank you very much for joining in for that game. Absolutely wonderful to watch. Credit to both teams. They made that so interesting. 13-2. That's just what you expect to see from this level of Valorant. But we will be back very shortly with another game, so don't go anywhere. I've been the Killsync. I've been joined by Moxie, and we're still going to be here next time.